Hello class, today I'd like to talk about the test review. Let's go over the answers to that so that you're better prepared for the test tomorrow. You'll notice the first picture that you see right here. Later today I'll actually be walking up these steps to the Abraham Lincoln Memorial, so just kind of think about that for next year if you want to go. We'll be having a meeting in May for y'all to sign up for the DC trip if you want to go. First thing I need us to talk about is let's talk about these formulas. There are certain formulas that you need to know. You will have this for your test. If you have your formula chart with you, you will have your formulas. So please make sure that you bring your copy of the formulas. There will be very few extra copies and there are not any formulas on the test itself. Okay, so you will need to have your formula chart with you tomorrow. So please make sure that you bring it. Okay. First off, you know that we've got circumference formulas for a circle, which is the distance around a circle. We have area formulas of triangles, rectangles, parallelograms, trapezoids, and circles. So for a triangle, we know it's 1/2 base times height, and it's a little b this time, so it's an actual measurement. Okay, or base times height divided by 2. For a rectangle, it's base times height or length times width, whichever one you prefer. And then, of course, you have trapezoid, which is 1/2 b1 plus b2 times h. And then your circle, which is very important. The area is equal to pi r squared. Now, for our volume formulas, we've got three of them here. We've got volume is equal to capital BH for a prism or a cylinder. We've got 1/3 capital BH for a pyramid or cone. And we know for a sphere, it's going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. Now you need to remember what this capital B stands for. This capital B is for a formula. Okay, little b is for a measurement, but capital B is for a formula. Okay, so we will be plugging one of these formulas in for this capital B, depending upon what the name of that particular shape is. Now here are those specific formulas. So if I've got, for a prism, the capital BH is our formula. If it's a rectangular prism, it's going to be BHH, which is base times height, or just LWH, whichever one you prefer. For a triangular prism, we know it's going to be base times height, little bh, divided by 2, and then times the overall height, which is that distance between the base and the farthest point away from that base. And then, of course, for our cylinder is pi r squared h. So those are the specific ones that you have to use. Now, let's take a look at our review, and let's see what you had to do on this particular review. So this first one we know is a rectangular prism. So we know our basic formula is volume is equal to LWH. That's the formula that I like. And we know for volume, it's just, you take those three measurements, no matter which order they're in, 12 times 4 times 10, you multiply those together and you get the answer of 480 meters cubed. And we need to remember, anytime we're dealing with volume, the three dimensions, it's going to be cubed, not squared. And number 2, this one is a cylinder. So for a cylinder, we know our formula is volume is equal to pi r squared h. So again, this formula tells you what you need. It says I need pi, which we're going to use 3.14. We're going to use radius. Well, a radius, remember, is from the center to the circle itself. So that's going to be 8 times the overall height of that particular figure, which is 14. So if you type all that into the computer, you end up with 2,813.44 centimeters cubed. Now I know the instructions say find the exact volume. When we're dealing with circles, we're talking about approximate volume. Okay, so just understand that. Number 3, this one is a tent, a triangular prism. So we know we've got volume is equal to the base times height divided by 2, which is our triangle, times the overall height, which is the distance between our figures. Now you know as well as I do that a triangular prism, all it is half of a rectangular prism. So you can do the same thing that we did on the rectangular prism. Take the three dimensions, multiply them, and divide it by 2, and it will work the same way. So if we look at this triangle, we got 10 times 10 divided by 2 times, and then our h is 13. So it's just 10 times 10 times 13, divide by 2 basically, and you get a volume of 650 millimeters cubed. So that's our first 3 problems. Let's keep going. Okay, number 4. Now this one we've got another cylinder. Now this cylinder is a little bit different because I have the entire distance across. But what distance do I want? I only want half of that, so I need the radius. And the radius would be 3. So in this one, its volume is equal to pi r squared h. So volume is equal to 3.14 times the radius, which is 3 times 3, and then the overall height is 5. So we multiply that together and we get 141.3 meters cubed. Number 5, now we're back to given a radius, so we're good. So the formula is the same as we had on number 4. So this one is just volume is equal to 3.14 times 7 times 7 times 15. We multiply that together and you end up with 2,307.9 feet cubed. Number 6, you're back to doing a, in this one right here, I forgot I had changed this shape on this form. So this shape is really not this one. I apologize for that. I forgot to change it on the flip chart. It's really a cylinder, or not a cylinder, a sphere that has a diameter of 12 yards. Okay, so that's what our picture really should say. Now we know our formula for a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So volume is equal to 4/3 times 3.14 times. Now if our diameter is 12, that means our radius is 6. So times 6 times 6 times 6. And I know that's rather a demonic figure there, but a lot of spheres might be that way. So you do 3.14 times 6 times 6 times 6, and then multiply that by 4, and then just divide it by 3. And if you do that, you end up with 904.32 yards cubed. And that's how we deal with a sphere. I'm sorry I didn't change that on the flip chart, but we fixed it. Okay, now we got some pyramids and cones. So number 7, this one is a cone, so we know our formula starts off with 1/3 capital BH. Well, our B is a circle, so that means it's pi r squared, and then times our h. Okay, so volume is equal to 1/3 times 3.14 times. Now I'm given the whole diameter here, so I only want the radius, which is 16. So times 16 times 16 times, and our height is 35. Now this one you do get kind of an ugly answer, so I do want you on this particular one to round to the nearest 10th. So on this one you end up with, when you do 3.14 times 16 times 16 times 35, and then you divide that by 3, which is what 1/3 means, you get 9,000, my board's messing up, 9,378.133333333. Okay, so this one's just, we're just going to round it to 1, and this one is centimeters cubed. Okay, and number 8, this one is a triangular pyramid. So our formula is volume is equal to 1/3 base times height divided by 2, because it's a triangular base, times the overall height. Now we know again, it's basically just 1/3 length times width times height. Okay, divide by 2, okay? So we got volume is equal to 1/3, and we got to do this triangle, and the triangle is 12 times 10 divided by 2, and then we multiply by how tall it is, which is 17. So in this one, we would do 12 times 10 times 17 divided by 6. Okay, or if you do what the problem says, 12 times 10 divided by 2, get an answer, times 17, get an answer, and then divide that by 3. And if you do that, you end up with 340 inches cubed. Then number 9, this one is a rectangular pyramid. So volume is equal to length times width times height. And again, we want 1/3 of that. Okay, so volume is equal to 1/3 times 17 times 32 times, and it's 24 tall. So we do 17 times 32 times 24, divide that by 3, and you end up with 4,352 feet cubed. Now that's all of our basic shapes that you have to do. Now this test tomorrow is going to be a multiple choice test. So you'll have to do that and then look for this answer as a multiple choice response. Now let's go on to the multiple choice questions. So here's our first one. It says, a rainwater collection barrel has the dimensions shown. Which explanation describes how to determine the number of cubic inches the barrel holds when at capacity? Well, we know to do this cylinder that we're going to do volume is equal to, okay, pi r squared, because we've got a circle for a base, times h. So I need, in my numbers, I need a pi, I need a radius times a radius, and then times an h. Well, if the diameter is 22, then that means my r is equal to 11. Okay, so r squared then would be equal to 11 times 11, which is 121. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so here I've got 11 pi, 34, and 34. Am I going to square the 34s? No, I'm not. Okay, this one right here, 121. Where did we get the 121 again? Oh, with the 11 squared. the 11 times 11, okay? And then pi times the 34. So does that one fit? Yes, that one does. This one we're using the diameter, so it's out. And this one, 484, is 22 squared, so I know it's out. So both of those are out. B is the correct answer. All right, so let's look at the next one. A company's logo was designed using circles of 3 different sizes. The diameters of the 2 circles are shown. Which measurement is closest to the area of the largest circle in square centimeters? So we know the distance from here to here is 6, and I know the distance from here to here is 12. So the entire distance then, the entire thing is 18. So what would be the radius of my large circle? Well, my large circle then, its radius would be 9 centimeters. So that's the number that I want. Now this one I'm just finding area. Okay, so this one's just an area formula. So that means it's A equals pi r squared and no h. Okay, it's just pi r squared. So in this one, it's going to be A is equal to 3.14 times the radius times radius, which is 9 times 9, which then gives us an answer of D, 254.34 centimeters. So for question number 12, Bob wants to paint a rectangular wall that measures 16 feet by 9 feet. The wall contains a window with the dimensions shown. If Bob does not paint the window, what is the total surface area he will paint? Okay, so it talks about shaded area, so we're talking about this area right in here. Okay, all this wall right here. So in this particular one, we got to find the wall and then cut the window out. So we start with the wall. So that's going to be A is equal to 16 times 9. When you find that area, you end up with 144 square feet. Okay, the window is 8 feet by 5 feet, which gives us an area of 40 feet squared. So in order to find just the wall part, we've got to do 144 minus 40, which gives us 104 feet squared. Okay, so we end off the test with a kind of an area problem there, a test review, so it should be pretty simple. So if you can do all of those, looking back at these formulas that we had, okay, just kind of look back over those, and please make sure that you bring your formula chart for tomorrow, then you'll be in good shape. So until next time, good luck on your test. Bye-bye.